Are we living in the end times? Wars, global tension, moral confusion, natural disasters increasing. Every generation thinks they're the last. But could this time be different? For 2,000 years, Christians have believed Jesus will return. The question is not if, but when will he return? So today we're asking, are we actually living in the end times? Hey everyone, have you ever read Matthew 24 and felt a little anxious? Jesus lays out some pretty intense signs. Wars and rumors of wars, famines, earthquakes, persecution, and lawlessness on the rise. It's easy to look at the news today and think, this is it. The signs are all here. And you're not wrong to notice the parallels. It can feel like we're living right in the middle of that chapter. But here's a fascinating twist that often gets overlooked in the middle of all the chaos. Right after listing all these dramatic events, Jesus says something crucial. In verse 36 he states, "But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father." That's a huge statement. So what's really going on here? Was Jesus giving us a checklist to predict his return, or was he doing something else entirely? Let's consider another perspective. What if Jesus wasn't giving a specific short-term timeline, but rather describing the entire period between his first and second comings? The entire church age. Think about it. Have there ever been times in history without wars, famines, or earthquakes? Has the church ever been completely free from persecution? These signs have been a constant reality for believers throughout the centuries. They aren't just future events. They are birth pains that the world has been experiencing for 2,000 years. So when we see these things happening, it shouldn't cause us to panic or start making predictions. Instead, it should remind us of what Jesus told us to do. He said, "See to it that you are not alarmed." He called us to be watchful, to be ready, and to keep living out our faith with urgency and hope. The signs aren't there for us to set a date, but to keep our hearts set on him. They are a call to endurance, a reminder to share the good news with everyone, because that's the ultimate sign he mentions, the gospel being preached to all nations. So instead of focusing on fear, let's focus on our mission. Let's live each day ready, full of faith, and actively sharing the love of Christ. That's the true sign of a follower who is ready for his return, whenever that day may be. Ever wondered what the book of Revelation is actually about? Is it a detailed roadmap of the future or something else entirely? This ancient text is packed with intense imagery, terrifying beasts, mysterious seals being broken, and powerful trumpets sounding. It's famous for concepts like the 4 horsemen and the infamous mark of the beast. For centuries, people have been trying to decode its meaning. There are 2 main ways people look at this. The first is the futurist view. This perspective says that Revelation is a prophecy, a literal description of events that will happen at the end of the world. According to this interpretation, the events described from the rapture to the Great Tribulation are still to come. It's seen as a divine warning and a blueprint for the final days of humanity. This view has inspired countless books, movies, and discussions about what the end times will look like. But there's another major interpretation, known as the preterist view. This perspective suggests that Revelation isn't about our future, but about the past. Scholars who hold this view believe the book was written in a kind of code, using symbolic language to describe the intense persecution Christians faced under the Roman Empire in the 1st century. For them, the beast wasn't some future global dictator, but a symbol for emperors like Nero, who was notorious for his cruelty towards early Christians. The mark of the beast might have represented the emperor's image on Roman coins, something Christians struggled with in their daily lives. The number 666 in this view could be a numerical code or gematria for Nero's name. So when John of Patmos was writing, was he seeing a vision of the distant future? Or was he offering a message of hope and endurance to his contemporaries who were suffering right then and there? Was he trying to tell them that God saw their struggle and that Rome, the great oppressor, would eventually fall? The debate is fascinating and continues to this day. Is Revelation a literal prophecy of future Armageddon, or a symbolic letter of encouragement written for a specific historical moment? The text is so rich and complex that people find compelling evidence for both sides. Have you ever wondered if the modern nation of Israel established in 1948, is the fulfillment of ancient biblical prophecies? It's a huge question that sparks a lot of debate among theologians and Bible readers. For many, the return of the Jewish people to their ancestral homeland is a direct sign that we are living in the end times, a clear fulfillment of what prophets like Ezekiel and Isaiah wrote about thousands of years ago. They see today's headlines as yesterday's prophecies coming to life. But not everyone agrees. There's another major perspective that says all those prophecies about Israel's restoration were actually fulfilled way back in ancient history. Specifically when the Jews returned from their exile in Babylon around 538 BC. According to this view, the promises were made to ancient Israel and were completed then. They argue that applying these prophecies to the modern state of Israel is a misreading of the text. This isn't just a minor disagreement. It's a foundational issue that shapes entire systems of understanding Bible prophecy. This is where you get big theological frameworks like preterism, futurism, and historicism. Let's break them down real quick. Preterism, from the Latin word for past, generally teaches that most, if not all, biblical prophecies were fulfilled in the past, often around the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. So, for a preterist, modern Israel isn't a prophetic sign. Then there's futurism, which is probably the most popular view in many churches today. Futurists believe that the key prophecies, especially in books like Daniel and Revelation, are yet to be fulfilled in the future. For them, the re-establishment of Israel in 1948 is a massive, undeniable signpost, pointing to the soon return of Christ. They see it as setting the stage for the final act of human history. And then we have historicism. This view sees prophecy as unfolding continuously throughout history. So, a historicist might see the establishment of Israel as one part of a long, ongoing prophetic timeline that started in the 1st century and continues to this day. So, you have these three major viewpoints, all looking at the same Bible, all looking at the same world events, and all coming to very different conclusions about what it all means. They can't all be right, can they? One says it happened in the past, one says it's happening now and in the future, and one says it's been happening all along. Understanding these different perspectives is key to navigating conversations about the end times. Is modern Israel the super sign of the end times, or is there another way to understand it? Have you ever felt like you're living through the end of the world? You're not alone. During the Black Plague, people saw death everywhere and truly believed the final judgment was upon them. Fast forward to the world wars with destruction on a scale never seen before. Many were convinced humanity couldn't survive. Then came the Cold War, where the threat of nuclear annihilation had everyone holding their breath, thinking any moment could be the last. Yet, here we are. History didn't end. So, the big question is our generation truly facing something different? Or are we just caught in the same cycle of fear that our ancestors experienced time and time again? It really makes you think about our place in the grand sweep of history. If Jesus said no one knows the hour, are we meant to predict the end or simply be ready? And if the world isn't ending soon, why does it feel like it is? This is the Watchman Record. Thank you for watching. Leave any comments below and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.